Please check your systems where we can avoid any kind of misuse. It is very important that you register your mobile numbers. In the hotel industry, any kind of room rent will now attract transaction value. Sale of used or old cars, you being a recipient have to accept or reject such credit note through the IMS system. Welcome viewers, wish you a very prosperous and happy financial new year. We are into April 2025, and the year 2024-25 has seen a lot of amendments, a lot of updates, a lot of fine tuning by the GST Council. In this new financial year, we will be discussing on series of important checklists that needs to be updated in your system since the very beginning of this new financial year. In our today's deliberation, we will be discussing on 7 important updates, very crucial updates in April 2025. First point that we want to deliberate on is that since the e-waybill system and the e-invoice system has updated itself to the latest versions, it is important for, as business houses, as dealers, it's important that your systems also gets updated with regards to the security measures implemented by the GST Council. Please check your systems, please check your controls where we can avoid any kind of misuse of your portal or misuse of your e-waybill or e-invoice systems. For example, in one of the practical scenarios, a dealer faced a consequence of having an e-waybill generated unknowingly, where he is not a party to the consignment, and e-waybill has been generated from his portal. So uh, these kind of security problems, these security breaches must be avoided, because once an e-waybill is generated from your system and such e-waybill does not correspond to the information or documents that is available in your financial documents, hence there will be a total mismatch. And section 74, fraudulent e-invoicing, fraudulent e-waybill, fraudulent intention with regard to the GST will be established by the department. Hence the GSTN has updated its security features. The GST in its e-waybill system and e-invoicing system have introduced multi-factor authentications, where your registered mobile number or a mobile number that is of the dealer of the authorized person must be in sync with the e-waybill portal, where a e-waybill, if it is generated, an OTP is sent to the registered mobile number. After sharing that OTP only, the e-waybill will be generated. We are witnessing such technological updations in the e-waybill and the e-invoicing portal. So from 1st April 2025, it is very important that you register your mobile numbers, you update your mobile numbers, check that any employee or any accountant or any accounting team responsible for generation of e-waybill, if that person has been replaced or that person had left the organization, check that the mobile number should be of authorized person who is of managerial level, or who is an important person with regard to the management. So this is very important in order to avoid any kind of misuse with the e-waybill and the e-invoicing system. So that's our first point. Moving on to our next point, another change, another welcome change that has been brought into the e-waybill system is fate of stale transactions. Previously, what used to happen that, as we all know that for generation of an e-waybill, a supporting document needs to be there, whether it's a delivery challan or an invoice, whatever it is, has to be there as a supporting for generation of e-waybill. But there was no timeline with regard to this, that if there was an invoice but you were issuing a e-waybill after some days with against such invoice and the goods for that consignment, that has been curtailed down and has been restricted to 180 days. Hence, any documents, any transactions that has been made 180 days prior to the current date becomes stale. So any document which is more than 180 days old cannot be fit into the system for generation of an e-waybill. So if I consider 1st April 2025 as a cutoff date, the date is 3rd October. So any document, any delivery challan, any invoice which is prior to 3rd October 2024 has become stale. So you cannot generate an e-waybill with such a document. That's number one. Second is extension of e-waybills. Now, as we know that we can extend the e-waybill, the validity of e-waybill multiple times if there is any kind of delay in movement of goods and all. That extension of e-waybill has been limited to now 360 days from the date of the original generation. If a bill or if a e-way bill is generated as on today, or say if a e-way bill is generated on 1st April 2025, I'm taking the date as 1st April, the maximum time you can extend such e-way bill is 25th March 2026. So 360 days by, I repeat, 360 days is the maximum number of days where you can extend the e-way bill. That was our second important update that we need to take care. Third, as we discussed in our previous deliberation with regard to biometric authentication during registration of under GST, there was an update from the GST that for directors, for any public limited companies, for private limited companies or foreign companies, they have directors who reside outside the jurisdictional address. As we all know, GST Suvidha Kendras are there all over the country. So initially what was documented was that during the registration process, you have to do your biometric authentication at the jurisdictional GST Suvidha Kendra. But for directors who are having traveling issues or who is not residing at the jurisdictional GSKs, they can now do their biometric authentication at their home states. Any GSK or any GST Suvidha Kendras where biometric authentication is activated, the directors at their home state can go and make that biometric authentication at their home state. Moving on to our next point with regards to the hotel industry. Now, as we all know that for hotel industry, there was a concept of declared tariff. On the basis of the declared tariff, GST rates were applicable. Now, the GST Council has brought in the concept of specified premises. So there is the concept of declared value has been completely omitted. Now it depends on the transaction value. So just like any other type of supply in the hotel industry, any kind of room rent, any kind of room rent arrangement will now attract GST on the basis of transaction value and not on the basis of the declared tariff. Now there has been a definition that has been introduced, that is the definition of a specified premise. Now what is a specified premise? A specified premise is such where the transaction value of per day per unit, means the per day tariff or the per day room rent is more than 7,500. So anything more than 7,500 per day per unit becomes a specified premises. What happens if it is a specified premise? GST will be applicable at the rate of 18%, including the restaurant services. As we all know that restaurant services attracted 5% without ITC. But if you are a restaurant service provider within the definition of a specified premise, then compositely you have to charge 18% GST on the restaurant services also. So anything more than 7,500 will attract 18% GST alongside the restaurant services. Mind you, here ITC gets activated. So the credit of input tax will be available for such specified premises if you are charging 18% and above 7,500. Anything below 7,500, there was an option to opt into such scheme that you can voluntarily become a specified enterprise and can charge 18% and claim ITC. But the due date for opting in has passed for the financial year 25-26, that is 31st March. So now any new registrations for any hotel industry within 15 days from the date of generation of GST, the date of generation of the registration number, you can opt in into the scheme where though it is the transaction value is less than 7,500, still you may avail this provision for charging 18% and claiming ITC. If you have not done so, then the old regime that continues, that anything below 7,500 will have this normal rate at it was applicable. So it is a non-specified premises, and obviously restaurant services will be attracting 5% without ITC. Mind you, any restaurant service provider who is an independent restaurant service provider, is providing only restaurant services, they will continue to fall under 5% rate without ITC. This restaurant services has been added or compositely mixed with the definition of specified premises where a hotel industry provides room rent. That's the important change that has taken place for hotel industry from 1st April 2025. Moving on to our fifth point, sale of used or old cars. GST rate has been increased from 12% to 18%. From 1st April 2025, the GST rate for sale of old cars is now 18%. So those dealers who are in the business of sale of old cars, used cars, they have to pay off. They will be paying off extra GST because of this additional rate increase. So the sale price, the sale rate, the input tax credit, everything has to be reconsidered for this current financial year due to such rate increase. Moving on to our next point, the sixth point is the issue of credit notes. Now this has been implemented from 1st April 2025. If your supplier has issued a credit note, you being a recipient have to accept or reject such credit note through the IMS system. So GSTN has, as we all know, that implemented invoice management system where you can accept, reject, modify, hold anything, any kind of invoices that is showing into a portal. For credit notes, this is very important because this has been amended through the Finance Act 2025. So any credit note which has been accepted or rejected, where status has been finalized, you can then only take the benefit of such credit note. Otherwise, by law, now there has been an embargo where if you are not accepting or rejecting it through the IMS, such credit notes will not have legal validity to claim ITC. Our seventh point, or the last point for today, is validity of the rectification orders. During the GST Council meeting that held last year, a substantial relief came in the form of ITCs which could not be claimed due to 16.4 restrictions for financial year 17-18, 18-19, 19-20 and 20-21. Such ITCs has been given a blanket availment and utilized if they are utilized through your 3B till 30th November 2021. Now there was various orders prior to this change. There was various 73 orders, 74, 107, 108 orders where section 16.4 impositions were given to such years and credit was denied. So if such orders are still there or if such orders has been not modified, there is an option to rectify such order, to file a rectification for such order with notification number 22/2024. Within a period of 6 months from the date notified, we can pass these rectification orders and get this relief for this particular financial years only. Such date is expiring on 8th April 2024. So within 8th April 2024, please file your rectification for these particular financial years in order to avoid unnecessary litigations for these financial years. Since we have moved into the new financial year of 2025-26, I once again wish you a very progressive new year. Let's this new year add more value to your business, to your concerns, and as I always say, let's update in order to uncomplicate. Looking forward to more updates and more deliberations, and we want to share with you through our this channel, and hopefully this is adding value to your business. And thank you very much for patient listening.